Hello my friends, HM here. Now in this video we are going to talk about the Ukrainian invasion of Russia that is happening up here next to this city that's called Sumy. That's a really large Ukrainian city, and they have invaded into this Kursk region in Russia. And this video I'll tell you about the latest, what is happening. Now I found a very good map on the internet that can show from day to day how this invasion has occurred, and we'll just go through these map updates and I'll give you the latest what has happened actually today. But we're also going to discuss a little bit about why is Ukraine doing it, what's the strategy behind this, what do Ukraine attempt to obtain with doing this attack inside Russia. So let's get to it. Okay, so here we have this map I was talking about that have a great overview of what is happening from day to day in the war in Ukraine and now also the war in Russia. Here we have the Black Sea, as you can see, and up here we have Ukraine and Russia here. And all the red areas here are the territory that Russia is occupying from Ukraine. And what is happening right now is, of course, if we zoom in here, that Ukraine has made a major invasion here in Russia. And if we zoom a little bit out, we can see how big is it. Well, here you have this area, and Russia also 2 months ago they invaded Ukraine from Russia on this northern border, and they only got this much. Ukraine in a few days have got that much, a much bigger area. In fact, this area is as large as what Russia has gotten the past 6-7 months from Ukraine. So Ukraine in a few days here have taken what it took Russia like 6-7 months to take under enormous cost, where they have lost thousands of vehicles and tens of thousands of Russian soldiers have died. I guarantee you Ukraine has not expended that much to take this much land. They have lost dozens of vehicles and maybe even hundreds of killed, but not tens of thousands. So what is the latest that has happened? Let's zoom in. There's always 1 day delay on these maps. So today we have the 11th of August, and the latest map I have here is from the 10th of August. So that's the latest update we have. Tomorrow we'll have another update of it. But here I can go back 1 day to the 9th of August and let's see what happens. Mostly this area down here is conquered right there. And that's a city called Guyevo that Ukraine took last night. And we can also see it's moving around. The blue area here is what Ukraine kind of control and where they don't have any Russians left. And the yellow area is where the battle is going on. There's a lot of battle between Russian and Ukraine forces in that area. But let's click back here just to see how this invasion occurred the last 5 days. So let's click all the way back. So here it was, the 5th of August, nothing happened. Then the 6th of August, they invaded 2 places here. The day after, the 7th of August, they have taken that much territory. And then the 8th of August, the 9th of August, and then the latest map right here. So as you can see, Ukraine is expanding and it's going fast, very fast, for this war that has been pretty much locked down in trench lines where they basically, it's a killing field where nothing really happens. But this is something that is happening. It's happening quick and it's important. Now, before we move on, I want to give a little credit to the guy who is making this map. And this is the guy who's called Andrew Perpetua. And I'll provide a link below this video so you can go to his Twitter account and subscribe to him. Every day this guy is combing the internet for video and image evidence of losses on Russia's side and Ukrainian side, and he is also updating this map every day. A great guy, and I think he deserves the credit here. With that out of the way, let's talk about the strategy Ukraine has for this attack. Now, the strategy is of course determined by the President of Ukraine and also the chief commander of the Ukrainian army, and I have a picture of them right here. Here we have the President Zelensky. I don't know the name, I can't remember the name of the chief commander, but he is pictured right here. He has said in a recent interview he gave when he was appointed a few months ago He replaced another fairly popular chief of command in the Ukraine army, but Zelensky thought that new energy and new thoughts was required because he was not happy with how the war was going, so he appointed this guy here. And he was quoted in that interview for saying, "I know we will win, and how." That's a pretty strong statement. It's simple and very strong. I know we will win, and how. And at that time he didn't give further specifications of what his strategy for how to do it, but I think now with this invasion here it's getting obvious. I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes' English detective series, and Sherlock Holmes has a saying that once you have discovered the plot, everything becomes obvious. Everything is obvious after the fact. Once you have gotten the idea, once you have gotten this thought, then it's kind of obvious. And let's get back to see what is so obvious here about this strategy that they're using. Something you should see right out of this map is that Russia has occupied all the red areas here, but there's a lot of water down here. We zoom a little bit in, you can see there's water between here, so that's not really a front line here. Nothing is happening here. Where all the fighting is happening is mainly in this area here, all along this line here. And Russia has been taking territory very, very slowly and at enormous losses, but they are taking territory pretty much every day from Ukraine. Just a few meters forward every day. And the strategy is, as we can see here, that now seems so obvious, is that Ukraine has now attacked into Russia. They are attacking into Russia because Russia has not built any heavy defense lines on this section here of the border between Ukraine and Russia, because they didn't expect an attack there. For a very long time, Western countries has not allowed Ukraine to attack at all into Russia or use Western weapons to attack Russia. So Russia thought that, okay, Ukraine can't attack us here. But now that has changed. Ukraine is now allowed to use Western weapons to attack into Russia if it's to prevent Russia from attacking into Ukraine. And quite frankly, Russia themselves showed by attacking right here, they attacked into Ukraine, that they were interested in attacking over that border. And Zelensky said we have to be allowed to attack back into Russian territory. And they have gotten the permission to do that now, Ukraine from the West. Thank God, about time that happened. And now what they have done is they have sent a fairly big force, possibly 10,000 men with heavy armor, to attack into Russia. And it has been an enormous success, as we've just seen. They have taken more ground than Russia has taken in 7 months. And the idea is, of course, that you attack the enemy where they are weak, where they don't have enormous fortifications and defense lines as they have along this front line down here. Here, if Ukraine attack, they tried this last summer, they tried to attack Russia into these heavily fortified defense lines, and also Ukraine don't have an air force and they didn't have anti-aircraft systems, so they couldn't stop Russian air force from bombarding, attacking Ukrainian forces. It was a catastrophe for Ukraine. They lost a lot of equipment, a lot of men, and they didn't take any significant territory at all. It was just a very bad idea, a very bad strategy. It was a strategy that Western military strategists have said to Ukraine, this is the thing you should do. They were idiots, because they haven't been to war for a very long time. They've kind of lost the grip here. Now Ukraine is doing the right thing. They are attacking Russia into an area where they don't have a lot of defense lines and where they don't have a lot of troops. So they have a fighting chance of actually taking Russian territory, and it has been proven now because they have taken territory. And that's the whole idea. Ukraine wants to start a new front line up here where Russia doesn't have a lot of soldiers currently and don't have a lot of trench lines. Now, it has taken Russia pretty much 2 years to build heavy defense lines here and elaborate system of how to defend themselves with electronic jamming and fighting positions and so forth. They have almost nothing of that up here with this border. So of course, obviously, as I said with this Sherlock Holmes, when you know the strategy, of course you attack the enemy where he is weakest, and you also try to do it fast. The thing is, Ukraine has to take as much territory while they have this element of surprise. Take as much territory as possible and then dig in and start building defense lines, because of course Russia is going to come with a counterattack. It's already happening. Russia are moving whatever spare reserves they have in the rest of Russia, they're moving it down there to this new front line. And they're also moving heavy armored troops from the main battle lines down here. They are moving them up now to fight up here. That's exactly what Ukraine wanted. That will relieve the undermanned, understaffed, and under-equipped Ukrainian forces that are defending these front lines and that are losing territory. The thing they got going for them is that Ukraine has also had a lot of time to build defense lines. So they have defense lines, multiple layers of defense lines, and it's very hard for Russia to move forward, even if Ukraine is understaffed and under-equipped. But now, what I hear from sources that I'm reading is that the soldiers here at this main front line can already see that the daily attacks from Russia has dropped significantly because they're drawing their units up to this new front line here. So this is really the strategy to attack Russia where they are weak and where it will take at least a year for Russia to build new defense lines that are strong along this border. You can also see how long is this border. It goes from all from here and all the way down here. It's actually a longer border. Let's take a measurement of it right here to here. That's 500 kilometers, and it's also, that was in a straight line. Because it's curved, it'll be more. It's like 700 kilometers. And if we take another measure of this front line here, let's see how much that is. It's 340. Let's round that up to 420 kilometers. That's the main front line a week ago, and it still is. But this one, it's longer, and it will take Russia a long time to build, and a lot of resources. It will cost billions of dollars to dig trenches in several layers along this front line. So if I should take a guess about what is going to happen in the coming months in this war, it is that Russia, of course, will move forces up, as we already can see. And as they are doing that, I also think that Ukraine will move some of their forces up from this front line, because when there are less Russian troops down here to fight, then they can also take some of their forces back and move them up here and start more attacks into Russia. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think that's a strategy that the new chief of staff in Ukraine has, simply to extend this front line basically from 400 kilometers with an addition of 600 kilometers of front line. That also means that Russia will have their air defense system spread over a much larger area. It'll be more difficult for Russia to shoot down Ukrainian F-16 fighter jets. That is what I think will happen. Now, I don't want to make my video too long, but there's one more thing I would like to say. We could say, of course, where did this chief of staff, where did he get this inspiration from to form this strategy? And frankly, I think he has gotten it from this Chinese general and author and also philosopher. He's called Sun Tao. There's a picture of him here. He has written a book, down here we can see The Art of War. That's a famous book. And a lot of military experts have been reading that book. It's kind of a legendary thing, and I haven't read it myself, but I've read a lot of quotes from it. It's like a gold mine of wisdom. And this man lived 500 years before our timeline. So it's like 2,500 years old book, and it's still valid today. I found a webpage here with some quotes from this book, and I've highlighted some of them that I think is relevant here, and from where I think Ukraine got a little inspiration, because many of these commanders have all read his book. Here it says, attack the enemy when he's unprepared, appear where you are not expected. So attack the enemy where they're unprepared. That's check on this. Russia is unprepared here, and it was also non-expected. Russia was taken with their pants down on the toilet in this attack. They simply didn't have the force, and they didn't detect this large Ukrainian force that was building up in order to make this attack. So it's quite amazing that Ukraine has carried this out as a surprise attack. Let's say another quote from this book. Quickness is the essence of war. Also here, check. They are moving in fast and taking a lot of land quickly. that has been something we have seen before. Ukraine has been able to do, and also this surprise things in the previous successes where Ukraine has taken territory back. But they had run out of options, Ukraine now. Really the only option left was the Ukrainian-Russian border. That was the only option where they could launch a surprise attack. And what else do we have? I think I have one more. Yeah, strategy without tactic is the slowest route to victory. So you need to have strategy and you need to have good tactics. And strategy is the overall strategy for what is your goal and how are you going to achieve it, while tactics is individual operational things about how each tiny battle to win the war is going to be conducted. And then it says here, tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. So if you don't have a strategy, you will lose the war. And even if you can execute tactics, small battles within that war, you are still going to lose because there's no coherence in what you are doing. That book is just full of gold mines for how to do war and how war functions, and it hasn't really changed in those 2,500 years. But I think I will round off my video here. I'll be making many more videos, so I hope you subscribe to my channel and also give my video a like. I'll come up with updates and so forth. To those who have been seeing my videos before, I've got myself a new microphone set up. Normally I use a headphone. Now I use this microphone up here, and also some better equipment, so it should be easier for me to produce these movies, and also got a better camera position so you can see my hand movements. And I'm really looking forward to be productive and just do a lot of videos here for my channel to inject some life into it. So I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe. Then all I have to say is thank you very much. I wish you a great life in freedom and democracy. Goodbye.